Welcome to the podcast that will teach you how to successfully invest in and build steady streams of passive income from the highly lucrative niche of mobile home park investing. Veteran real estate investors Kevin Bupp and Charles Dehart from Mobile Home Park Academy will personally share with you the valuable lessons they've learned along their journey as mobile home park investors, so that you too can learn how to build massive cash flow and huge profits from this extremely lucrative niche. So without further ado, let's welcome your hosts for today's show, Kevin Bupp and Charles Dehart.
Welcome, guys and gals, to the Mobile Home Park Academy's weekly podcast, where we'll provide all the information that you need to know to successfully locate, negotiate, close on, and make huge profits from a lucrative niche of mobile home park investing. I'm your host, Kevin Bupp, and in today's show, I'm joined by co-host, business partner, and my good friend, Brian Spear. Brian, how's it going, buddy?
Life is good, Kev. How you doing today, bud?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm down here. I'm a little warmer than you are. You're up in Chicago right now, bud. So I think I don't know if I'm doing better than you, but I'm in a more pleasant environment, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough, man. We're up here in Chicago, and actually it is frigid right now. It's as we record this December 30th, it is extremely cold. While we did not have a white Christmas, we did get a fair amount of snow yesterday, so it has been kind of nice. I'm not gonna lie. You know, we were always down there in Florida. I do prefer the warmer weather, no doubt about it. But if I'm ever gonna have a little bit of snow around the holidays, I can get behind that, right? If I'm going to build some snowmen with nieces and nephews and just have some snowball fights, I can get behind that. It's the holidays. I'm good with that, bud.
I agree with you, man. One year we're going to fly out and spend a white Christmas somewhere out west, I believe. We have not done it yet, but I think it'd be fun for the kids to experience that. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. Again, I'm from Pennsylvania, so I get it. And but in any event, as you mentioned, you know, it's as we record this here today, it's December 30th, and oh boy, I don't know how else to put it other than, you know, we're nearing the end of what I think will go down in the history books as, I just like to label it a crazy year, because there's just so many things to pick apart there. And you got the virus, you got the presidential election, which was just an event in of itself. And then you got this new ailment, which I don't know if, I'm sure some of you guys have heard of. Brian, you probably heard of it, called Zoom fatigue. I mean, come on, there's like, it literally, it's just a little bit of everything going on this year. And so I think, at least I can speak for myself. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I'm ready to welcome 2021 with open arms. I'm ready for it. How about you?
Couldn't agree more. You know, the beginning of a new year always brings a little bit of a new energy, right? I mean, you're starting fresh and an ability to have a clean slate and look forward to the new year. So kind of now that we've got our hands wrapped around it, we know what to expect, for the most part. We can attack 2021 headstrong here.
Yeah. So I know that we've kind of tossed around some ideas on what topics to cover in today's show, and basically arrived on a topic that we thought would be both fun and informative, and that was to dissect the kind of I guess outdated and what I feel to be soon to be irrelevant, maybe in the next decade or so, the star rating system that's commonly used in the mobile home park space. And you guys know what we're talking about here. It's the 1 to 5 star rating that gets thrown around by everyone, industry veterans, brokers, owners, what have you. If you guys are in this business, even if you're just entering into the space, then you know what I'm talking about. Park's either a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, or 5-star. 5-star being the nicest, 1-star being probably one that you just might want to drive past and not consider getting out of your car. But we're going to pick it apart a little bit and kind of dive into the history, right? Because there's actually a legitimate history behind this that a lot of folks don't know about, and so we're going to cover that, and we're also going to kind of run through why did people even begin using the star rating system, and what are the different attributes of a 1 to 5-star park. Also, how does the star rating compare to the traditional class A, B, and C model that you guys commonly will see in other investment niches? Pretty much mobile home parks are it's the only space that uses the star rating versus a B, or C model, again, that you find in multifamily and industrial and retail and all those other commercial asset classes. And then we're also going to cover, is the star rating system outdated? Okay. You guys will be able to make your own conclusion here when we round out the show. But, Brian, I'm excited to dive into those topics. But if we could, man, before we get into it, I've got a few quick housekeeping items, updates I'd like to share with the listeners. First and foremost, this is a big announcement because, again, 2020 has been a unique year, and we got a little bit of a slow start, but I feel like we're off and running as we near the end of the year here, because we launched our third mobile home park investment fund, and we've been able to build quite a nice foundation in this third fund. We've already closed 2 off-market deals. They closed last month, and then we have another mobile home park set to close tomorrow, December 31st. That nothing like getting it down to the wire. And I think even more exciting than just closing deals, right? Closing deals is exciting in and of itself, but it's even more exciting when you find deals that you can buy below the current market value. And again, that's something that we're incredibly good at. I know you guys have heard the saying that you make your money on the buy. Well, just give you a quick run through here of why we're so excited about these three assets. The first asset, it was a smaller one, a smaller acquisition. It was a $695,000 purchase. And at day one, had $1 million appraised value, which basically equates to a 43% return on equity day one. And Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, that appraisal actually was done by CBRE. So, I mean, a national firm.
Agreed. We always do our appraisals with either CBRE or Colliers. Those are typically the two that we usually use. This one happened to be a CBRE appraisal.
Yeah, good deal. And then, so that second asset there, again, kind of following the same trends. Mobile home park, $2.2 million purchase price up in Georgia. And again, day one, man, 2.63 appraised value. So more than $400,000 of instant equity, which again represents about 20% return on equity day one. And this last asset that we're acquiring, which will be literally closing on tomorrow, again, as we record, it's December 30th. It's a mobile home park up in Maryland, $1.5 million purchase price. And this one's got a significant amount of upside due to the lot rents being far below market. And the appraised value on this one, again, we are purchasing for $1.5 million, and the appraised value is over $2 million once we actually recapture some of that loss to lease by doing a rent increase. And so, again, super excited about these three deals and super excited about all the deals coming our way in 2021. For anyone that's listening, if you have an interest in partnering with our team here at Sunrise Capital Investors, we'd love to talk with you. You can learn more just by heading over to our website, investwithsunrise.com, and there you can access our webinar, PPM, and offering docs, and just learn about, all the reasons why we love mobile home parks so much. So again, investwithsunrise.com, and I'll be sure to put that in the show notes. And then lastly here, Brian, before we dive into it, I want to remind everyone that I still do offer the free 30-minute call each and every Friday. This is where you can jump on the phone with me, whether you're brand new to this business or a seasoned pro, doesn't really make a difference. I'd love the opportunity to connect with you. And there's no ulterior motives here. I've been doing this now for going on 7 years, which is crazy to say that. I just have more grays now than I did back then, but it's been a long time and I've met a lot of you. So it's very rewarding that I've been doing it so long, because hundreds of you I've spoken with over the years, and it's just been very pleasurable. So if you'd like to schedule that call with me, go to kevinbupp.com. Again, kevinbupp.com. And Brian, I think that's all I have for the updates. But anything else that you'd like to add there before we get rolling?
No, I think we're good to go, man. Let's teach some folks about a 1 to 5 star rating system. All
right, good deal. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and ask you to grab the ball. Why don't we start by, I think, again, giving a brief overview of the history of this thing, so we have some type of foundation to work from, and then we can work into some of the other relevant points. So why don't you go ahead and give us a history lesson here, if you would?
Yeah, sounds good. As you mentioned, there's really no other asset classes that uses a star rating system the way that the mobile home park industry does. Everybody else uses Class A, Class B, Class C. You always hear that in multifamily and every other asset class out there. But the star rating system derived nearly 100 years ago now. This is a derivative of a company called Woodall's. So years and years and years previously, prior to the mobile home park industry as we know it today, it was actually a travel trailer. That's the foundations of a mobile home, right? Today, mobile homes are largely a misnomer, but back in the day, they were travel trailers where literally the trailer would hook up to the back of a vehicle and would travel around the country. This is before hotels were more commonplace. And if you needed someplace to stay overnight when you were on the road vacationing, you would basically just take your trailer wherever you were going, and you would need to find a place to park it overnight to stay. And over time, as this became more commonplace, as vehicles became more commonplace throughout the country, travel trailers became more commonplace throughout the country. And again, before hotels became more well known, there was a firm that wanted to put out a directory of these locations where you could park your trailer and stay overnight. And this had not yet been done, but a company called Woodall's started in 1935 with a directory called the, quote, Travel Trailer Magazine. And it ultimately just used a 1 to 5 star rating, determining how these little areas, these pieces of property, were suitable for travelers throughout the country that were going to park overnight in their travel trailers. So they put out this report every single year for years and years and years, but the business obviously evolved massively from 1935 all the way through the 1970s. And mobile homes today, I mean, are a far cry from those original travel trailers back in the 1930s. Over time, what happened is mobile homes grew in size and popularity, and the residents, they ultimately needed a separate directory from the travel trailer parks. And they needed something that was more akin to the mobile home parks that accommodate those larger homes. So in 1970, Woodall made a new directory specific for mobile home parks as we know them today, something to accommodate those larger homes that were more permanent fixtures. And they actually had a massive undertaking to do this. They traveled to every single one of the mobile home parks throughout the country. At the time, that was about 25,000 mobile home parks. And they had 21 different teams go throughout the entire country and look to rate these communities from 1 to 5 star based on a litany of different characteristics. So we'll walk through some of those characteristics today, give you an idea of what those where those foundational underpinnings derives, what constituted a 1-star community versus a 5-star community. But you should know that Woodall stopped doing this in 1975. They no longer do this. And that's why this star rating system is a bit outdated. So what constituted a 1-star park back in the day might not be what constitutes a 1-star park today, vice versa. So let's walk through some of those characteristics and then get your take on how those old outdated star ratings compare to what is truly kind of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 star today. So in any event, back in this, the primary consideration for a 1-star park was overall appearance. If it was not a decent place to live, it would not be listed in the Woodall's directory. So just basic human necessities has to be a reasonable place to live. So here were some of the characteristics. Number 1, it has to have a fair overall appearance. The streets need to be in at least fair condition. They could be made of anything. They could be dirt, asphalt, gravel, and anything, but they needed to be at least in fair condition. Again, back in the day, they were travel trailers. So a lot of these places had restrooms, and it listed restrooms as needing to be clean. The facilities needed to be clean. Yeah. In addition to that, there should be some sort of laundry, if not on site, in the immediate vicinity where you can go to have a laundromat. Some of these very basic things. And then finally, mail service. You should be able to actually get mail to this location if you're going to live there permanently. Talking about basic bones, 1-star asset. That's where that 1-star rating came from, Kev. So in any event, how does that 1-star rating from the 70s compare to what you would consider to be a 1-star rating today?
Yeah, I think there's definitely still some accuracies there and some things that are relevant. But when I think of a 1-star, and I think when a lot of brokers or owners think of a 1-star, it's probably not the best part of town, probably the wrong side of the tracks. Lots of old vintage homes that have not been upkept. I'm thinking to like a park that's mostly tenant owned homes. But most of them are very old, 50s, 60s, 70s models, haven't been maintained over the years. And that if you buy that park, there's a good chance that some of those homes, when they get abandoned, they're getting sent into the scrapyard. Yeah. Maybe not the best school district, so, again, some of these things are still relevant, but I think that 1-star is probably a little worse off than maybe how Woodall might have rated it back in the day. Again, 1-stars can become 2 or 3-star parks if they're in the right part of town. But a lot of times, again, I think the 1-stars are the, what we would now deem to be true trailer parks, right? And, more rental communities, again, in a rough part of town. So that's my general consensus, Brian.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. A lot of crime in today's 1-star parks. The stereotypical trailer park, the drugs, sex, and rock and roll stereotypical trailer park, that is what I would consider to be a 1-star today. So certainly some things have changed, but much the same, much the same. So in any event, moving on to 2-star here, back in the 70s, Woodall's conveyed that a 2-star park has to have everything inside of a 1-star and also these characteristics. There should be some landscaping. The lawn should be kept fairly well, and there should be some shrubbery in the vicinity. The streets need to be in good condition, and they cannot be dirt. They must be either crushed rock, gravel, or shell at a minimum. It could be asphalt, but they cannot be dirt roads. In addition to that, all of the units must have 220 volt electrical connections available. So as these homes get a little bit larger, right, they needed a little more juice to take care of all the different appliances that would be plugged into those respective outlets. In addition to that, if children are accepted inside of these communities, the park should have a play area. It didn't mean that there needs to be a massive playground, but there should at least be enough room, enough grassy area for the kids to run around, play backyard football, play soccer, whatever the case may be. There should be some room for the kids to play in the area. And then the park, just largely speaking, should be free of clutter, such as old cars and other abandoned equipment. You can't run through an old one-star park without seeing something broken down up on blocks, Kev. So you can't have that in a two-star.
Yeah, and I'd say, when you compare, what a two-star to me, I guess, means today versus what you have here. And I still think that two stars, for the most part, maybe they're in the better part of town, but they're still, they're ugly. They're not overly attractive in appearance. They probably don't have a lot of landscaping or pride of ownership, but it's a safe area, respectable residents. There might be, maybe a small percentage of the residents that show pride of ownership. But again, I think the most important factor for me would be, is it in a good part of town? Is it in a good school districts? Because I always like to say, Brian, you can't change a market. So you can't change the part of town. You can't shift that. However, if your community is in the right part of town, but it just happens to be the ugly place in town, you can change that over time, right? You can take out the old and bring in the new and attract a higher quality resident base and take a 2-star and turn it into a 3-star. The 1-star, those things are a little bit more challenging because you can't change the part of town that they're in. Absolutely.
We've always conveyed that we like to acquire mobile home parks and provide safe, clean, quiet, affordable housing throughout the country. You can't really do that in a 1-star. Oftentimes, it's really unsafe to get out of your car in a lot of these mobile home parks. I mean, that's the truth. A lot of the trailer parks, it's unsafe to get out of the car. In a 2-star, it's safe. It might be ugly, but at least it's safe. And we can turn that around. We actually like that. We don't mind that. A lot of times that's operational inefficiency, and we can go in and scrub that 2.5-star park, turn it into something a lot nicer, and provide really high quality, safe, clean, quiet, affordable housing to the marketplace. So, and again, that's a 2-star. Heading out of the 3-star parks here, I had to laugh when I was reviewing the description for modern homes in the 3-star rating. Again, they haven't made this directory since the 1970s, and verbatim, this is what they conveyed. Many 3-star parks were once rated higher, but original construction did not allow for today's 10-foot or 12-foot wide trailers, or the 55 or 60-foot length trailers. Again, had to chuckle because if we saw those units today, those are very, very, very small mobile homes from a modern perspective. All single wide units are typically 16 foot by 80. So fairly large, 1,200, 1,300 square foot properties where you can fit a 3-bed, 2-bath, family. Much, much, much different than back in the 70s when a 10 foot by 55 unit was considered rather large at the time. In addition to that, the mobile home parks that are 3-star must have an attractive entrance. All the homes must be in good condition. They should have some awnings and cabana rooms on some of the homes in the southern area so that you can have a nice sunset out there. Some of the spaces should be available to these, quote, larger homes. And then finally, in a 3-star, you have to have actual paved streets as opposed to dirt or gravel streets. A 3-star, you have to have actual asphalt there. So, Kev, what about today? How about 3-star parks today?
Yeah, no, 3-star parks are good. I mean, again, some of these things are still relevant, some not so much. For example, one of the big considerations of what parks attract us to invest in them would be the size of the lots, right? We tend to shy away from communities that were built long ago that have incredibly small lots or that can only encompass, maybe that old footprint of those 10-foot wides or 12-foot wides. We want the ability that if we want to turn over that inventory and, bring up the appearance of the park and bring in new homes, we want the ability to actually not have to bastardize maybe 2 lots and turn it into 1 because that's what, how a lot of these older parks were built. But generally speaking, 3-star parks are good. And I would say, Brian, if I had to guess, I'd say that the probably the the larger portion of parks that a lot of the listeners are probably looking at fall somewhere in today's realm between 2 and 3 star categories, generally speaking. Again, you got the 4 and 5 star, which we'll get into, which are the much nicer parks, a lot of times age restricted communities. And then again, the 1 star parks are really just the really rough trailer parks, lots of rentals, bad part of town, what have you. But I think for the most part, a lot of what folks are looking at today are 2 and 3 star parks.
Yeah, no, I share the sentiment, and that's really where we play as well. We want to play in the affordable housing sector. We don't play in the 1 star parks. We also really don't play in the 5 star parks. The 1 star is kind of a trailer park. The 5 star is what a manufactured housing community would be. And we're kind of in the mobile home park, 2 to 4 star. Might maybe buy a 2 star, turn it into a 3, maybe buy a 3 star, turn it into a 4, but definitely the affordable housing sector, the blocking and tackling of affordable housing.
Yeah, and 5 stars. I mean, I like to class a majority of 5 stars, or what most would consider as like lifestyle community. So for the most part, falls out of the affordable spectrum, and it's more of a choice, not a. It's more of a choice than a requirement. So folks choose to live in those lifestyle communities. They're not forced because of lack of income or what have you. So in any event, I know we'll get to the 5 star here, but that's kind of how we feel about 5 stars. They're gorgeous communities, many here in Florida where we live, but again, not necessarily within the affordable realm.
Yep. Moving on here to 4 star parks, from Woodall's perspective, has to have everything of obviously leading up to the 3 star, and they consider 4 star parks luxury parks. Again, in addition to the 1 star, 2 star, and 3 star category, a 4 star park must have the following. They have to have good landscaping. All the homes should be skirted with metal skirt, concrete blocks, stone, something very nice in terms of the skirting. They all need to be paved streets that are edged or curbed, and the lots should not be crowded. This is a new characteristic that they're adding in here. So they're talking about the lot density. There should be some room between one home and the next home, as opposed to having it be extremely crowded in a small parcel. In addition to that, most of the lot should accommodate large homes, sometimes double wides as needed there. And if there is parking, if there's shared parking, the parking should not be kind of scattered. It needs to be a very formatted manner to have parking. So that's really what constitutes a 4 star. It does go on to say a little bit about some amenities, maybe a community hall, maybe a swimming pool, maybe some recreational areas, but it's not an absolute necessity. As long as it meets every other characteristic, you don't have to have those very, very nice amenities to be considered a 4 star. Yeah. But in any event, that's kind of Woodall's perspective of a 4 star community. And
I think, Brian, I mean, of all the ones we just went through, this is actually very accurate, even to today's standards. And so I think the 4 star, aside from the 1, 2, and 3 star description that was given by Woodall's, this one's incredibly accurate even today.
Yeah, I agree. And if I were to add anything in terms of today, if I'm going to say a 4 star home, it probably needs to have newer homes that likely have vinyl siding and shingled roofs. In a 3 star, you can kind of get away with some of the older metal boxes from the 80s. As long as everything is well kept, you can have a 3 star there. But in a 4 star, most of those homes are going to be newer 1990s models with vinyl siding, shingled roofs, a lot of double wides, a good mixture of single wides and double wides. But that would be something I'd add in terms of today's 4 star.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Heading on to the 5 star communities, obviously these are the finest communities in the industry. And from Woodall's perspective, a 5 star park should be nearly impossible to improve. In addition to all the aforementioned criteria, they need to have the following. They need to have a well-planned and laid out infrastructure and spacious appearance. They should resemble a residential community, or something akin to a single family residential subdivision. They need to be in a good location that is accessible to a litany of different amenities in the vicinity. It has to be in a desirable neighborhood. It might be nice high hedges and an ornamental fence surrounding the community, wide paved streets in perfect conditions, curbed and guttered, homes set back significantly from the street, off-street parking, all the beautiful things that you would consider to be a high-quality investment grade 5 star characteristics today are the same that you would have seen back in the day. All the homes have to be skirted. All the hitches need to be concealed. And then it goes on to convey a litany about having nice amenities, etc. In addition to all of that, the occupancy in the community needs to be above 60%, which was something unique. We hadn't yet conveyed anything about the occupancy, but it should be above 60% to ensure that it's a nice place to live. So it has to meet that threshold to be considered 5-star from Woodell's perspective.
Yeah, I think it hits the nail on the head. I mean, the occupancy thing, I think that could be argued either way, right? I don't know how relevant that is in today's standards, but you will find that if it's a 5-star community and it's in a good market and it's still of a 5-star standard, that means that the owner's maintaining it. It's got a good management company in place. Then more than likely, it's probably at a 60% or greater occupancy, probably closer to 90 to 100% occupancy.
I agree. I have never seen a 5-star community that is not near 100% occupancy. Why? Because there's a massive demand for affordable housing in this country. And if you have any available lots, people will be knocking down your door to come live there. I mean, I'm thinking about Ridgeview. I mean, we've got a beautiful 4-star community up in New York that we had an organic move-in this past year where somebody gave us a call and asked to move in a brand new $100,000 home into the community because it's such a beautiful, nice place to live. And that's what happens when you have a nice 4- and 5-star community. People will be knocking down your door with affordable housing demand to come in and live in your community.
I'm going to correct you there. It's a $135,000 home, Ryan.
I always like to
there's a major difference there.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable. Truly, truly phenomenal stuff.
So from everything you've read, Ryan, about this old system, again, what I feel is starting to get pushed out because we've got this industry is fairly split between, I'll just simply put it as like the old timers and the new timers, right? You got the old timers that have been in the industry for 3, 4, 5, 6 decades. They've been here for a very long time, and most of those are akin to the star rating system. And then you got this new blood, the newcomers such as us. I mean, we've only been doing this for just going on a decade. Many others have jumped into the space over the last 5 years. And, most of us have been trained. If we spend any time outside of mobile home parks in the commercial real estate space, retail, multifamily, industrial, senior housing, self-storage, any of them, you'll find that the rating system is not a 1 to 5 star. It's a, class A, B, or C model. And so, how does the star rating system, again, what you know about the history now, you've done a little bit of studying on this, how does it really compare to, what we know as the traditional class A, B, and C model?
Yeah, great question. And, for decades, mobile home parks have not been viewed as an investment grade, institutional grade asset class. Up until roughly the last decade, it has been kind of overlooked by the massive private equity firms. But as everybody knows that's been listening to us for years and years, that's now changed, right? The secret is out, and the asset class is no longer viewed as this kind of a little small niche investment. It's a high quality institutional grade investment class that has attracted massive, massive private equity over the past decade. And as we see that sharper capital come in, more and more folks are looking to implement some of those more traditional real estate investment metrics over to our industry, and rightfully so. So when you go to get appraisals, oftentimes they're more formal with Class A, Class B, Class C, et cetera. But even with the new blood coming in, the more institutional folks, you still have these ad hoc references to the star rating system. I'm thinking specifically of the Wells Fargo Manufactured Housing Financing Handbook that they put out on an annual basis. It's basically a way for them to convey to all the different investors who acquire mobile home parks how they should prepare their prospective mobile home parks for financing, specifically agency financing. Wells Fargo has the largest agency financing arm throughout the entire country. Second is Berkadia. For those that are unaware, Warren Buffett's the second largest lender in the mobile home park space through his subsidiary Berkadia. In any event, Wells Fargo puts out a handbook which references what you need to do, and they actually do make some references to this old, outdated star rating system, even in their more formal MHC financing handbook. So no matter what we do, we can't get away from it in its entirety. So I just think that we're going to have this blended star rating system and Class A, B, C model moving forward here for the next couple of decades until it really gets washed out, and a lot of the greatest generation passes along their assets over time to their kin, and ultimately a lot of these assets get absorbed and ultimately consolidated by more sophisticated new blood that's coming into the industry. In any event, pivoting onto the Class A, Class B, Class C rating in the manufactured housing sector, I'm going to just zip through this and what constitutes a Class A community as per, we'll use Collier's appraisal perspective here. In terms of density, there should be 4 to 7 mobile home park sites per acre. This mobile home park should have been built since 1980. Again, it's a resort style community in terms of the amenities, has a lot of phenomenal amenities. It's a subdivision quality. It has asphalt or concrete roads. It's on public utilities. It has multiple off-street parking spots. Again, brand new, excellent homes are the norm here. And it's mostly double wide, mostly multi-section. So that is a Class A community, and that is obviously akin to the 5-star that we have discussed through Woodall's. Anything to add there, Kev?
No, I don't think so. Again, I thought that the Woodall's definition of what a 5-star was it's very accurate even to today's standards of what we would classify as A. So there's not many things that would change there.
I agree. In terms of Class B, I would consider that something that is a 3 to 4-star park. With listing everything that we just listed out there, it's very, very much akin to a 3 to 4-star park. A higher grade 3-star and a low star 4. Medium density in terms of the homes per acre. Communities built since 1970. Maybe 1 or 2 off-street parking spots, and maybe a nice blend of single and multi-section homes. But that's a Class B community is going to be something that is a 3 to 4-star park. And then heading down the line to Class C, this is going to be a 2 to 3-star park with high density, something akin to 15 sites per acre. These communities are largely built before 1980. They don't have a lot of amenities. Mostly asphalt or concrete. They might even be gravel, potentially dirt on the low end of the 2-star rung. And there's a mixture of public and private utilities. So it's just a high level view of the Class C stuff. Again, Class C is kind of akin to a 2-star to 3-star community. Anything to add there?
No, I don't think so. Other than, I think this, the outline that Colliers provides or the guidelines, I do think generally speaking from what I see talking to brokers in the industry, and again, more so to the new blood that are really jumping into the space, private equity firms, big institutions, what have you. This is a much more accurate portrayal of what you're running into today and how it's going to be evaluated by an appraiser or by a broker or by a bank, what have you. And so again, I think this is very accurate. Now, I'm excited for you to get on to the next section, which is the 1-star, the unrateable. So that's, I didn't know the unrateable existed. I can't say, Brian, that I've ever seen the appraisal that actually had it classified as unrateable, but I'd love to see what that looks like.
Yeah. So Colliers lists the unrateable mobile home parks as having extremely high density, over 15 sites per acre, built before 1980, no amenities. It's a grid layout as opposed to having kind of a nice subdivision layout, all gravel, all dirt roads, a lot of private utilities. You can only park on the roads. Again, just homes are in modest condition, fair condition, certainly not nice. A lot of the homes are built before 1976, et cetera, and primarily single section. So an unrateable mobile home park akin to the old 1-star trailer park. And you don't see a lot of those going to the brokers and selling for top dollar at a 4 or 5 cap. Those are not often the type of deals that they'd like to list.
I think there should be another line category here of drug, sex, and rock and roll, like as another attribute of an unrateable mobile home park. But
yeah, exactly.
That's not politically correct, I don't think.
It is not politically correct. Maybe rating them by the number of police reports over the past year.
There you go.
But in any event, Kev, let me ask you this. In conversations with all the different folks that you have in the industry, when you're speaking to brokers, what do the brokers usually use in their offhand conversations, off the record? I mean, do most of them discuss the mobile home parks that they have coming through the pike in terms of the star rating system, or do they consider them, B grade, C grade? And just your standard broker conversations, what is more commonly used terminology?
I would say it's all over the board. However, I would say that it still leans more towards the star rating system. The only other unique, I guess, twist that a broker might throw in there is they might reference a park as hey, it's a 3-star or, B- grade asset, or like they'll try to tie the two together to depending on who they might be talking to make sure that person on the other side understands, what classification of quality that park is. But again, I think for the most part, across the board, the majority still, tend to lean on the star rating system again, but they might throw that additional twist in there and reference also a class A, B, or C rating depending on the park. So
what about owners? What about some of the legacy owners that have been doing this for a long time?
Yeah,
and the new owners? I mean, is it mostly star rating still?
Most of the owners we talk to, just based on how we go direct to owner, a lot of the times they're older legacy owners. They've been in the business for decades. And so, I'd say that almost all will lean towards a star rating system. In fact, a lot of them don't even try to rate their own park. I mean, for the most part, it's really hard when you're in it on a daily basis. Like you're literally boots on the ground. It's hard to really step back and see the forest through the trees and actually really give an accurate portrayal of what your community is. And so I would say that doesn't come up in conversation all that often. And for the most part, when I'm having a conversation with an owner, Brian, a lot of times I'll do my research beforehand. I'll be on Google Earth. I'll be on Street View. I'll be doing, research on the area, finding out where the retail is or the path of progress. And so by the time I'm actually having the conversation, a lot of times I won't even ask them what their rating is because I already have a really good understanding of the park and what I would rate it as. Cause that's what it really comes down to, I think, for the most part is, what is it to us? And also what can we turn it into? What are we comfortable turning it into based on, again, location, current quality, but also, where we feel we could get it to based on who can we attract into the community, residents, higher quality resident, what have you. And so again, doesn't really come up that often with owners.
Yeah. Very, very good stuff. And I agree. It is important to really understand what constitutes a 1 to 5 star park. Granted, it is an arbitrary system, as is the class A, B, and C, and it's getting more formal as the industry consolidation continues to grow. But it's important for you to understand kind of the rules of the road, as it were, so that you can put yourself in the best position to be successful as you're out there vetting parks to acquire and or turning around parks and trying to turn them into a higher grade asset, as Kevin mentioned, right? A 2.5 star up to a 3.5 star. What that's going to do is ultimately increase the valuation of the property, because when you go to get this asset appraised, if you're going to go to the lender for a cash out refinance, they're going to want to gauge what cap rate should be placed on this asset. And they're going to choose the cap rate based on the quality of the asset. Assets that are class A grade have a lower cap rate and ultimately a higher valuation, which will get you more cash out proceeds when you're looking to do that refinance. So again, it's why we wanted to come on here and have this conversation so that you could better understand the rules of the road, and hopefully create as much value along the way as you possibly can.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff, Brian. I think that we covered a ton of relevant points. Again, I wouldn't say it's an overly sexy topic, but it's a fun one to talk about, because a lot of folks, I guarantee 95% of those that are listening, number one, had no idea the history. And in fact, until we decided on this topic, I did not know the history of the Woodall rating system. And so I'm along with the majority listening in here to the call today. But I think that we hit on all the relevant points, and I don't have anything else to add. You, brother?
No, man, just wanted to go ahead and say Happy New Year to you and everybody listening on the call. Appreciate you guys joining us. We've been doing this for several years now, and it's always nice to welcome in a new year, guys. We're looking forward to putting out more content for you here in 2021. Yeah,
I agree with you, buddy. And, just one last thing here. Again, definitely Happy New Year, kick ass in 2021, but also know that we're here for you guys as well. I mean, it's one of the reasons that I do the free call on Fridays. We're here to give out good quality information, but also to help you in other ways along your journey. So if there's ever anything that we can do for you, feel free to reach out to us. Again, we've got passive investment opportunities. Go to investwithsunrise.com, learn more about working with us or partnering with us on deals. We've got the podcast here, but again, if there's something that you need help with in your business along this journey, feel free to always reach out to us. We're here to help you along your way. And so with that, guys, I just want to thank you for stopping by and joining us here at the Mobile Home Park Investing Podcast. And so this is your host, Kevin Bupp, and Brian Spear signing off.
Congratulations for taking the necessary steps to achieving massive success through the highly lucrative niche of mobile home park investing. Be sure to visit our website, mobilehomeparkacademy.com, to download your free digital ebook version of the 21 biggest mistakes investors make when buying their first mobile home park and how you can avoid them. And while you're there, Be sure to subscribe to our free monthly mobile home park investing newsletter, which is jammed full of valuable tips, tricks, and strategies to help you accelerate your path to success as a mobile home park investor. More information about this podcast and its hosts can be found by visiting mobilehomeparkacademy.com.